Hi there, it's Jen, and it is Friday, July. I had to think about that for a sec. 29th. I'm here live with you, and if you're there, please let me know. And if you can see me, let me know. So there's quite a bit of sun coming in from the window, which is nice, but it is giving me a bit of a glare. So I'll make sure the lights are okay when we change positions here. So what I'm going to do today is some watercoloring, and I want to get right to it because it takes a little bit longer. But I have, first of all, let's see here, the card that I made last week, this pretty card. Also doing a watercoloring technique. I want to do a draw for it. So let me just share my screen and then I'll do the draw. So it's going to look funny for just a second until I pull up the proper screen. Here we go. Okay, so hoping you can see that. I know I can. I'm just grabbing my pen. And here we go. This is anyone who commented or liked the video. And as long as you're not a demonstrator, you can win. And so I have a winner, Jose. Fantastic. So let me just stop sharing here. And I have your address, I believe. So we're going to be good there. And that'll be your card coming in the mail. So let me just put that aside. And I see Nicole is there too. Hi, Nicole, how are you? So I'm just going to switch right to the studio view here so you can see. How are you doing, Nicole? Thanks for joining me today. Like I said, I'm going to do watercoloring, so I'm going to get right to it. This is a stamp set called Blessings of Home. It is from the annual catalog, and it's just got this lovely image, which is great for watercoloring. So I'm going to use that. I've got also some shimmery white paper. This is the same paper that I used last week. Oops, I just realized I need to switch the light over here. Hopefully that's good. So it's got like a shimmer to it. So it may or may not pick it up on camera, but it is beautiful for watercoloring. And I like a heavier paper when I'm watercoloring so that I can, so when you're using water, it doesn't warp the paper too badly. So this watercolor paper, a thick vanilla, thick white also works. I'm also then using some of the celebration paper. So let me show you what that looks like here. This is the silver and gold. I forgot to grab my little brochure, but it's one of the offerings at the $60 level. So it's white paper with like gold flecks in it. So there's a few of those patterns. And there's gold stripe, and then there's also silver. So that, and there's a silver stripe as well. And you know what? I'm going to just, that's, here it is here. You can see I've already used a bunch of it. It's very pretty, and you can color it, which is one of the things I'm going to do today. So let me just put that away. And I'm going to grab my brochure so I can show you where that is. Everything is just a little wheel away here in my stamp room. Okay, so this is the celebration brochure. This promotion's on to the end of August. Basically, with a $60 order, this is for Canada, then you get to pick one of these things out for free. This is really pretty paper too, by the way. But this one sadly is already gone, so this is while supplies last. And here is the, on page 10, the silver and gold. It's 6x6 paper. There's 24 sheets, 12 each of 2 designs. So that's a really fun thing to use. So, and then I've got just a piece of basic white. So you can see here when you look at these two together, they're both white. And then you can see here with the shimmery white that it's got a bit of a yellowy tone to it. But again, it doesn't matter because we're coloring it and then you won't notice the differences. The other thing I'm using here are some colors. Pale Papaya, Calypso Coral, Mango Melody, and Grainy Apple Green. I'm using gold embossing powder with my new Embossing Additions tray. Comes with a little pair of tweezers. Again, I showed these last week. And a little brush. And also you need a Versamark. Oh, and also this comes with the Embossing Additions. So let's just start off with that right off the top. Just going to move this thing out of the way. I'm hoping my dog doesn't bark because the neighbor's dogs are outside barking, and when they bark, he barks. So the first thing you do want to do is rub your paper that you're going to emboss with the embossing buddy. And that just takes the static out of the paper, and it also takes the it's going to make it so that none of the little grains stick to the paper. It just makes for a nicer embossed look. So then I'm going to take my stamp, and I've already got it on a block here, and I'm going to ink it up with Versamark. So I've got the Versamark, I'm going to ink it up upside down. This is a detailed stamp, so I really want to press that ink in there and get it in all those nooks and crannies. Okay, and then I'm going to stamp it like this. Okay, now I'm going to tuck it into this thing for a second, and at the same time, I'm going to do a second one, and I'll explain why in just a sec. I just want to get this powder on here pretty quickly. What's everyone up to this weekend, a long weekend? Pressing down firmly to get all those spots. Okay, and then I'm going to cover up my ink pad so I don't get any powder on there. And this is why I like to do two. First of all, I pour the powder on the one. And this little tray is catching it in there, right? So it's great because then you reuse it. And then I like to pour it on the other one. Okay, and then kind of go back and forth. Make sure it's all well inked, well embossed, well powdered. So you can see a little bit of extra powder on here. You just want to give it a little flick, and then if there's still extra powder after that, because it should only stick to the Versamark, you want to just use your brush and brush that away. Okay, and then this one too. Just a little bit around the edge. So the other reason I like to do two is because it takes literally a second to do the two of them, and then I would emboss the two at the same time, and then I would have two to work with. So if I decided I didn't like how one was going, I could switch the other one. So when you're doing embossing, you want to get the powder on the ink pretty quickly, but after that, I see another little spot here. You have time. Like you can set these aside. They could sit here for an hour or two even before I did the heat gun on them. So with that being said, I'm actually not going to heat gun them today just because I've got a lot of coloring to do, as you can see, so I want to get to it. If you've never embossed before, watch my video last week. I'll put a link in here for you, and then you can see how to emboss. So I'm just going to put all this aside over here, just in case I actually need it. But one thing I forgot to show last week is how this little tray works. So what you do is you take your, there's a little piece of white paper there. Take the little embossing tray, unscrew it here, and then just funnel that powder back in there. And then you've got it ready to use for the next time. Now, if you're going to change colors, you're going to want to wipe that tray down, maybe with a Swiffer cloth or something, to get all that extra powder out of there. And I made a mess. You won't do that. I just got a little dusting mitt that I'm going to take away here, take away that extra. Okay, so here is, let's say, the embossed image all done. Let's see. I'm going to just check who's here. Evelyn's here. Nicole's here. Josie's here. Annie's here. Josie had tech issues, but she's back now. And Marilyn is here. Hello, hello, everyone. So you can see there now, this is embossed with gold. It's absolutely stunning. This is an image that would be pretty just embossed in gold and not anything else happening to it. But we're actually going to color it. So I'm going to start by opening up my ink pad. So here's the Pale Papaya. And I'm going to open them like this. I'm going to run out of room fast here. So let me get rid of my embossing tray too. And I'll put the mango here. You might not be able to see them all, but I've got the little labels here, right? So that I can see them when they're sitting down facing me. And then the other thing I like, now you can take the ink and you can squeeze it hard and you can try and get a little pool of ink here, but these ink pads are quite firm. So if you have older ink pads, that'll work. For the newer ink pads, the fact that they're so firm, what I do instead is I do a drop of ink refill. So let me just move this over so that they show in camera. Hi, Rita there. Evelyn's never done watercolor. Well, fantastic. I'm glad that you're here. So I've just got a little drop of ink refill. So this is the same ink refill that you use to re-ink the pad. So I'm going to put a little drop there. I'm going to use my water painters, and there's 3 different sizes. I'm using the medium size, and I got a little piece of paper towel right here. So this pen just unscrews, and then you put water in it. Hopefully you can see that it's full of water right now. Okay, so, and my little lefty-loosey, righty-tighty thing doesn't work with these. They seem to be opposite for some reason. I don't know why. Okay, so I'm going to take this. I'm going to hold this one over here so you can see it. And I'm going to add, I'm going to take a little bit of it, and I'm going to add some water here to it to really water it down. Okay, and then I'm going to take this paintbrush, And I find if I'm not sure how this image is supposed to look, if I look at this part, I can maybe see a little bit better. And I can see at the very top, there's two kind of little peonies. I don't think you can see that. There's a glare. I can see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start adding color. And I will hold this up as I'm going so you can see it. Adding color here. It's very light, this pale papaya. It's kind of a light orangey pink. And I'm just going to do that first layer, and look how quick it is. It's so super quick. And this is one of the things I love about watercoloring, is very quickly you can have a gorgeous image. But I want to add a little bit of definition to this. So I'm going to go back in and grab where I've got a little bit darker. And this is going to be now a little darker palette. I almost have a little ink palette going on here. And you can see the artist has given us some lines here where they want more definition. So I'm just going to add some darker color to those areas. It's sort of where the leaves come up from the petals. And because that's already wet, it's blending together beautifully and just adding that little variation of color. Okay. Evelyn says her older pads are starting to dry up. Then you need ink refills because they will still work. Now what you want to do is you want to dab off. I'm actually going to go back in and get a little bit lighter color. And I'm just going to add a little bit here and blend that one because it was a little harder, that line. But how pretty is that already? Gorgeous. I see Chris there and June there and Gail there. Hello, hello. Okay, so to change colors, what you want to do is you want to squeeze the pen until the pen runs clear. I actually have a tiny glass of water here, and I'm just going to do that too because I want to be sure that I've got all that ink off. And now I'm going to go to the next color, which is Mango Melody. And I'm going to remove the cat hair, dog hair, human hair, not sure which. Add again a drop of Mango Melody in there. And I'm going to, again, pull a little bit over here and add some water. Make this a really light layer. Just squeezing the pen lightly, and I'm getting, see that nice light layer there? And then I'm going to start coloring. There's two flowers. I'm going to move this pen back so you can see the coloring more. There's two flowers, one here and one over here, that are both the same. And again, it's just getting that first layer of color and sort of wetness on that paper. There's quite a bit of wet ink on the ink pad lid, but if I feel it's not wet enough, I can squeeze the pen a little bit and get some more water coming out here because I want that to be wet so that when I add that little bit of extra color, I can then blend it. However, you don't want it to be too wet. This is probably the trick of watercoloring. You can see there's quite a bit of water there, and you can see it's actually kind of leaking out, and you can just grab it like that. So the trick with watercoloring is to get it wet, but not too wet. So there's a little bit of practice, but I'm just going over and getting those edges here. But already it's gorgeous, and see how fast it is. So before that dries, I'm going to go back into this ink pad, and I'm going to grab a little bit of the darker color. I'm just going to dab it off a little bit, and I'm going to now add it to, I'm going to hold this up when it's only partway done. Add it to there where the definition is shown by the artist, where those lines are. And I'm just going to pull it out here. Just again, give that some definition, some variation of color. Now it's a little harsh, that line, so I'm going to go back in with my lighter color, and I'm going, whoops, that's a bit too dark. See that? Oopsie. And I'm going to squeeze it, and I'm going to make it just a little less of a line by just adding water, really, is all I'm doing. Adding a little bit of that colored water. Okay, just to make it a little less harsh. And the beautiful thing is you can go back in and do this as many times as you like, adding whatever you want. It's better when it's wet, but you can just re-wet it. Okay, so isn't that pretty already? Actually, I even kind of like that dark one right there. Okay, so beautiful. Okay, so let's go on to the next color. Again, I'm going to squeeze this out until that is coming out mostly clear. I did go, by the way, in a lighter to a darker color pattern, just so I would not have too much contamination if I didn't completely have my pen cleared. So this one is now Calypso Coral. So again, I'm going to do that dot right there. And then I'm going to go and grab part of it, move it over here, and add a bit of water to it. Now you can see my pen is a little bit yellow from that Mango Melody. Some of that ink got sucked up into the pen. So again, that's another reason for me to have gone from a light to a dark color. Okay, so now there's all these little teeny tiny flowers. You see that in the image? There's some here and up here. So I'm going to color them all with this Calypso Coral. So I'm going to use the same idea, laying down a light color first. Now some of these are going to dry on me, so they may just stay light with not a lot of definition because there's a lot of these flowers in here. And I'm kind of looking at my stamp case here just to see where the lines are, because with the gold embossing it's a little less clear than it would be with a black line, but I love an embossed image for coloring. It holds the color in as you're working, so that's nice. And it also just has a really pretty look to it. Almost fancy, a fancy card. Okay, so I'm getting these little flowers here, and you can see how fast it is to watercolor, which is when I see a big image like this, I'm like, oh, I'm going to watercolor that. I love my blends, my alcohol markers, but watercoloring is way faster. Okay, so there we go. Pretty, pretty, pretty. And now I'm going to just add a little bit of definition. I think what I'm going to do is start by just doing the centers of the flower with a little bit of that darker ink, and just to make those show up a little bit more. I'm just making sure we're still alive there. Looks okay. Even these little tiny flowers have a little center. And I don't know that I'm going to do a whole lot more because they're tiny, these flowers. Very pretty. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, I'll make sure that I got all the flowers. Now I don't have any center here. I think I'm just going to leave that, and I'm going to maybe go green. Although I might just go back in and grab a little bit of this so that when it mixes with the green, it's got a little bit of lightness. Okay, so now let's move on to the green. So this is Granny Apple Green. And again, I'm going to do the same principle. I'm going to put a drop here. Okay, and I better make sure my pen is clear. I'm going to use my water on the side just because, look, I've got nice orange color now. I could dump that water out if I want to. So it is a little orange, the water, but because I'm going with a darker color, it should be okay. I'm going to try and leave that ink pad there so you can see better, because I know you couldn't see all of them. Okay, so it's quite sopping wet, so I'm going to just dab it a little bit, and then I'm going to go in and get these green leaves. Again, starting with the light as I do it here, and then I can add more darkness to it after, or I can just leave them. Totally whatever. This one here. And I better not forget to do those centers too. And these pens, they have such a nice fine tip that you can get right into little wee spaces and little wee leaves like these ones here and do them, which is fantastic. You really feel like an artist doing these. Okay, so, and again, it doesn't matter if it's not perfect. I mean, that's the nice thing with watercolor. You can go outside the lines. It just really doesn't matter. I'm gonna add some green to that. It may not be enough. I need to go darker there. Okay, so I am going to now add some definition. I'm going to pick up some of that really dark color and add it here, especially to these big leaves where you can really see the kind of vines or stems or whatever in the middle. Maybe a little bit down here too. Okay, and again, it's kind of harsh lines, so I'm going to squeeze out my pen and I'm going to just blend that in a bit more. Although I don't think it would look horrible like that too, because it would just make everything look darker. So I'm going to leave it like that. I don't think I'm going to, well, maybe a little bit more in the centers. I don't want to overcolor it. I want it just to, you know, look like it's watercolored. So we're going to make those green. That looks better, I think. These flowers could be almost anything, really, seriously. So isn't that pretty? So pretty. This one, I can see that there's not quite enough pale papaya down there. I'm afraid I might have too dirty of a pen to get it, but we'll see. I'm going to try and squeeze it out. That's mostly orange, so I'm going to grab a little more of my pale papaya and see if I can just color that little bit there that I kind of missed. Yeah, that works. Totally works. Okay, so isn't that gorgeous? Okay, so a couple things here. I'm going to cap this pen, but what you want to do is dump out that water now because it is orange. And I'm going to grab a baby wipe. A paper towel would work too. I've got some baby wipes here, and I'm going to just clean this up. Okay, my fingers are going to be lovely after this. Paper towel might be better just for that reason alone, but I want to be able to close these ink pads. Here, I'm going to grab my paper towel. I have it right here. Okay, so I should be able to close those ink pads. Actually, I need this one. I don't know why I did that. I actually need that one. I'm going to close up all the ink pads. Keep that away. Okay, so that's not too bad. Not too messy. I am going to, well, I've got the Calypso out here. I've got a little tiny piece of the shimmery white cardstock. And the saying is somewhere in front of me here. Here we go. With the Calypso Coral ink. This is from the stamp set. It says, have a perfect birthday. But a card like this, again, could be almost anything, right? Okay, so then the next thing I'm going to do, Evelyn says, it's looking good. I want a watercolor now. It's fun. It is fun. It totally is fun. If you like to color at all, watercolor is super fun. Okay, so then I've got this little piece of gold paper. Let me just move all these aside. I'm just giving this a few minutes to dry, okay? And I'm going to take, we're going to go with another pen here. We're going to go with the big fat one. This is the one I used last week. It's actually still colored. You can see that. So let me just, again, dip it in my water. This is just to be faster, so I'm not squeezing all the water out. I wouldn't do that if I was working on my own. I would just do this method. Just squeeze it until that comes clear, which is pretty much there. Okay, and so I need a little bit more of the Calypso Coral ink. Okay, and let's put it down here so you can see what I'm doing here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to squeeze. Of course, now my hand's in the way. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to squeeze it and get that really watered down. Maybe a little bit more still. You don't have to use the lid of this. You could use a plate. You could use piece of plastic. You could use the top of your stamp case because it's plastic. All I'm doing is going back and forth with this nice big wide brush on this paper. And I want to leave maybe just a smidge of white. Yeah, you know what? I haven't done any white, so I'll do it all. I'll show you my sample. It has a little bit more white. So you can see that paper's curling quite badly because it's a thinner paper than that other paper that I used, but that's fine. It'll dry. Okay, so again, I probably used too much there because I'm going to have to waste all that, but that's fine. Oh no, I need it. I need it for one more thing. I'm trying to clean up too fast. So what I am going to do is I'm going to heat this one up and with my heat gun just to dry it faster. So bear with me for 1 second. Evelyn says, lovely. Hi, Joyce. So you can see now that it's a little less warpy. It's still a little bit curled, but that's okay because we can use lots of tape. But how pretty is that? You can see, hopefully you can see the gold lines coming through there. So let's put this together, and then I'm going to do one more cool watercolor technique on there before we finish it. So, oh my gosh, and of course I have to cut out my piece. So let's start with this. Now I'll give that a few more minutes to dry. And this, because it's water-based ink, it's dry right away. So I'm comfortable putting my white paper down. Oh, I crushed the edges a little bit. Okay, so, and then because this is really, ooh, can you see that? It's sticking right up. I'm going to use lots of tape on here, more than I probably would normally. So we'll do all the sides and some in the middle too. Lots and lots of paper on here. So this is so pretty on the white with the gold. Oh, so pretty. You can see that. So that's a cool thing, just the wash. That's very similar to what I did last week, that wash. So what I want to do now is I want to bring in my Stamp Cotton Emboss machine. And here's the dies that match this. These are called the Flowers of Home dies. So they match this stamp set called Blessings of Home. So let me just pull in that machine. Taking a sip of water too. It's big, so I don't always pull this in here because there's not always room, but we need to do it today. So I've got here plate 1. I don't think you can see that. Plate 1, plate 2, and then this clear plate is a plate 3, like that. You can see mine is very marked up, but it still works. I'm just going to move this over a little bit more so you can see. And then I'm going to take this die, which matches perfectly. And we need some tape. This is the tape I like to use. It is removable tape. And I have it on my website under Jen Recommends, under products. I'll put a link to it here so you can see too. But it is a great way to hold these in place. The magnetic platform is currently not available. It had some quality issues, and Stampin' Up! Stands by their quality of their products. So they have pulled it until they can get that quality issue fixed. And I've mentioned this in my newsletter, but if you did in fact buy it, they will have refunded you already too. Okay, so I'm just going to put 2 pieces of tape on here, so I'm going to be sure it's not going to go anywhere on me. And then another clear plate 3 on top. I'm going to have to just move this over so I have room to push it through. So here we go. Okay, and I'm just going to move the machine. There it is, beautiful die cut. I'll move this out of the way. And you can see that it didn't hurt the image, and it doesn't hurt the dies, just peels right off that tape. In fact, if you're doing a bunch of them, you can just reuse the tape, but I'm not, so I'm just gonna throw it away. Okay, so let's put this die back so I don't lose it. Okay, and I don't need that. Okay, so let's put this together, and then I'll have one more technique I'm gonna do on it before we're finished. So, and this is gonna go down here. Just straight tape. I will hold it all up in a minute so you can see it, and we'll check all your comments too in a sec. And then I want dimensionals on here. You can see this is still just a little bit curved from the watercoloring, so I'm going to add more dimensionals than I normally would to make this stay flat. I'll do it with my right hand. It's funny that I always pull off dimensionals with my left hand. I am right-handed. Is anyone doing anything special for the long weekend? I forgot it was a long weekend, but can you believe it? It is August, starting soon. The summer just seems to fly by. Okay, so I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to put it here. So I'm going to show you, oh, I just realized I totally did my sample different colors. I switched the colors. That's too funny. So you'll have to tell me which one you like better when I'm finished, which I'm not quite finished. Okay, so the other watercolor technique I'm going to do is I'm going to take this big brush and I'm going to grab this paint and I'm going to give it a flick with my finger, just like a bloop, like this. And it's going to add some spots to this. And this is a really fun watercolor technique. Can you see that? There's little dots of ink all over here. It's just giving texture and just texture and a different look to the paper. So I love doing this. It looks really effective on a lighter color paper. You can see it a little bit down there on the saying. So it's very pretty. Okay, one more thing I want to add. I'm going to leave that glue pad open because I need to clean it, obviously. Where is my bling? Because we need bling. Where did I put my bling? It's hiding on me. Oh, here it is. Right on top of my wipey case. Okay, so this is what they look like. It says red and green adhesive back pearls. That's not what they are. They're something else. They're mislabeled, but they're pearls. And I think they're called maybe festive pearls or something. But there's a red, soft succulent, a silver, and a gold. So these are great for Christmas and things because they've got all those colors. Grab my take a pick tool and I'm going to add the gold one there. We always got to have bling, right? Oh, and I can see this one little dot made that smeared, but that just makes it even more watercolor looking. Okay, so there we go. Let me hold it up for you. Beautiful card, Evelyn says. Well done. Thank you so much. So now let me show you my sample that I made first. So you can see here that I reversed the colors. I didn't even know that I did it. I put the mango down here with the little flowers, and I did the calypso with the bigger flower. So, and it looks like I did a lighter color wash on here than I did on this one. So every time you do watercolor, it's going to look a little different. And it's almost like I have the same smear here. And this one is lighter on the dots. This one's a little bit darker, but I actually kind of like the darker. So yeah, there you go. The winner next week. So anyone who comments or likes this video will get into my draw for next week. Automatically that happens. And then you can pick which version of this you like. I have one more to show you too. Yeah, so you don't automatically get the card. You go into the draw to get the card, I should say. They're both so beautiful, Nancy says. Thank you so much. Jose says, lovely. And Mary Lynn says they both look good. Yeah, I know, I almost can't pick. So here's one I started actually with silver. So here's a silver version with blues and purples. And I love it because I love blues and purples, but I liked the gold better because I just thought it showed a little bit more definition with the gold embossing as opposed to the silver embossing. Paulette says a nice happy card. Yes, that sure is a nice happy card. I actually thought that it looked very fallish too, like it has kind of a fall coloring feel to it. This one you could almost turn into a wedding type card. So yeah, there's lots of things you can do. So lovely. I didn't know watercolor could be so fun. Seriously fun. And like I said, you know, it's okay to go outside the lines, and it's okay to, you know, have too much. And you can see here that on this silver one that I've got a little bit of extra stuff here, and it totally looks fine. This one I've got a little bit darker color down there. Again, totally fine. Every time you do it, it'll look a little bit different, and it is super fun for sure. June says a great intro. Great, a great trio. Yes, there you go, a great trio. Yeah, so one of you will get one of these cards next week, and then the other one I think I might give it to my mother-in-law. I think she might like that. So that is almost all. I just will quickly reference my birthday party. I have only 2 spots left for this. So I'll put a link in here so you can see what that's all about. And I'll put the other links in that I said. Annie also says that the blue and purple one is beautiful too. Well, I'm glad you like it. And Cindy says, I didn't know watercolor would be so fun. I love that comment, Cindy. Thanks so much. Okay, so let me go back to me here for a second, get some lights. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to like and comment on the post, and that'll help you get into the draw. And that draw I just do automatically with software that you probably saw at the very beginning of the post when I showed you my one from last week. So I'm wishing you all a wonderful weekend. If you turn around and you're watching the replay, just let me know. And have a great weekend, everyone. Take care. We'll see you next Friday. Same time, same place. Bye-bye.